All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 69 of the KissFAQ podcast. I'm one of your hosts.
Sorry.
You behave. I'm one of your hosts. Actually, I am the host, Julian Gill, admin on the KissFAQ podcast. Today I'm joined by Marcus Almighty Mark. Welcome back.
Hello, sir.
And hey, stranger, it's Lonnie.
What's up?
St. Louis Kiss.
Still the office, but I'm here.
I haven't checked how your team's doing, but mine's lost 4 in a row, so I've kind of given up.
We lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs, so my Dauber is down right now.
Yeah, we lost to the Dodgers, so you know life sucks when that happens. That's just horrible. We're going to be joined by 69th Blizzard Ken, the voice of reason, very shortly, but he's got a life, so he'll be with us when he can. Let's jump into today is Thursday, 21st of April, and you'd have to be living under a rock or be particularly ignorant if you didn't know or hear the news that Prince had died today. So, holy shit, you know, here's the passing of another absolutely legendary musical icon.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Which, you know, has just left me somewhat staggered. I mean, I was almost debating whether I wanted to even do a show today just because I wasn't a major Prince fan by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really brought back memories of the passing of Freddie Mercury to me. A consummate professional, someone just so high up in terms of art that, you know, just leaves me speechless. So, you know, I don't have much Prince on my playlist. I've got your usual kind of fodder of, well, the Foo Fighters' Darling Nikki, you know, 1999 When Doves Die, When Doves Cry, even Raspberry Beret, which was one of my guilty pleasures as a youngster on MTV, and Gold, which was always on the jukebox at university when I was getting drunk and playing snooker. So, you know, that's about my Prince stuff. Lonnie, thoughts on Prince?
It's really sad. I mean, I don't own any Prince music, but you know, I did grow up in the 80s, and a lot of my I have older siblings, you know, so I can appreciate what Prince did for music. And I think he's and this isn't a hot take or anything, but he's a very underrated guitar player. I was reading quotes today, and my cousin had posted a quote from Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton was asked, how does it feel to be the greatest living guitar player? And Eric Clapton's response was, well, I don't know. Why don't you go ask Prince?
That's awesome.
And that's Eric Clapton. I mean, come on. So, but you know, Prince was dynamic, and he's legendary, and there'll never be another one. And it's came out of nowhere, and it really kind of shocked you. And 2016 has not been kind to musical artists thus far, and we're only getting started. So
no, and I think the big problem is, you know, 57 years old. This is mortality of people who a lot of us have grown up just with having these guys as a fixture. Prince existed, Bowie existed, you know, and I think one of the things about Prince, and it's going to tie in with our topic, which we'll get into in a little bit, is an unbelievable, that's 1982. Is that controversy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, if you go to one of the clips that's making its rounds again today, is Prince performing at his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. I think it's 2004. He's on stage with Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, Steve Winwood, and Donnie Harrison, because George was inducted as a solo artist posthumously. And they're doing While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And Prince absolutely steals the show with his guitar solo in the second half of that song. I mean, if anyone thought Pink was just this if anyone thought that Prince was just this peculiar, funny little dude who wore odd clothes and occasionally weird wigs, sounds like Little Richard, no, hell of a guitarist. So it's just kind of beyond words. But getting into, I guess, a little bit more about, why we're talking about Prince today is Gene Simmons getting into it prior to NWA's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we're now, Gene versus Ice Cube and MC Ren. Is, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame really a place that now embodies all what we consider different genres of music, or is it legitimately okay to be including hip-hop artists who were maybe, influenced by the same people who influenced Gene Simmons early on? Where does one genre start and another end? Or is Gene just a grumpy old man who can't wait for hip-hop to die because it doesn't have lyrics? I gotta say, I'm pretty confused. I mean, what's Gene's take on the Beastie Boys then? They played electric and they rapped the hell out of stuff. I mean, what, Public Enemy or, Madonna. I mean, what is rock and roll? And I think Ice Cube had a really good thing to say about it that I'm really going to kind of pick up on from my personal perspective, that rock and roll is about spirit. It's not necessarily about guitar, bass, drums, vocals. So let's jump in there. Mark, what are some of your initial thoughts on, either Prince or the topic at hand?
Well, as far as Prince goes, I only own one album, which is Purple Rain, which is probably not a big surprise because most people probably own that CD. But I was never really a big fan of him initially, but then something happened. I read a really good interview with Phil Collin of Def Leppard, and he was talking about how during the Hysteria tour, I think it was, that him and Steve Clark went to some club in London somewhere on tour, and they saw Prince, and he did a version of Red House in some club, and they said they were absolutely blown away by his guitar playing on it. And then that kind of opened my then young and naive eyes to say, you know what, maybe I should check this out. So I checked out some of his playing, and as years have gone by, I've really come to appreciate him as a guitar player. He's very, very underrated. I mean, the amount of skill that he has on the guitar is very much hidden on some of his music. If he was to come out and just blast out what he could do on that guitar, you'd be very surprised, But that just goes to show how much of a songwriter he is. He can pull that back, and he can write good songs and think about songs from that perspective, and not just go out there and make it into a big wank fest like a Vinnie Vincent. So he knows how to control that, and he knows how to write good songs, and that's why I've always kind of grown to appreciate Prince. And he's a great producer. I mean, and the fact that he can play so many different instruments. I mean, one of the songs that kind of impressed me is when he did that whole Batman soundtrack. I thought that was amazing what he did, just by himself. That just goes to show, the whole skill that somebody, when you learn that much about music and focus on it and learn and study it, an instrument, and you can really take it to the next level like he did. I mean, he just wrote some really great songs. And, when I heard that he passed away, it was really kind of shocking to me because he's not exactly an old guy, I mean, he's just in his 50s, and he had a long way to go in my eyes still, both musically and just in life in general. And I found that really distressing. I mean, I'm getting up and, approaching mid 40s. And, even at this point, they say, once you hit the 4.0, you have to start watching stuff, and, I've had my shaky bit of, life through my 20s and 30s where I didn't give a crap about anything, where I partied all the time and did stuff. And then that kind of stuff starts going into the back of your mind now and saying, maybe I shouldn't have did so much of that, and did it have any kind of repercussions now on me down the road? So, that's what kind of happens to me when I hear something like this happen, when someone goes away so soon. And just really quickly, I would be totally amiss not to mention this, especially for my wrestling friends, that Chyna also died today, a famous wrestler that she was a pretty popular wrestler during my really high point of wrestling when I was watching it when Triple H and her were kind of running roughshod through the WWE at that point. But that's a little off topic. But I wanted to mention her there anyways. So, but yeah, but Prince is he's a great artist, and it really took me aback. It really made me reflect on my whole life and how I approached it. And hopefully, I have a good 30, 40 years to go. Who knows, right? We all don't know. That's the point.
Yeah, I think we get to 40 and we all get that little package in the mail, a bottle of Centrum, some Metamucil, and some and a bottle of water.
Really give me something to look forward to.
As a reminder of you're not young anymore, and you got to start thinking about the future because it's a hell of a lot shorter than the past. So, yeah, again, stunning, and thank you for mentioning China, because I probably wouldn't have gotten into the wrestling side of things. No disrespect meant to her, but rock and roll. I mean, are we? We're talking about age as well in this. Is Gene, and I guess Paul as well, because he's lobbed a few hand grenades in the direction of the hall. And Steve Miller, let's throw him in the mix. Are we just talking about grumpy old men here who don't like their kids' music? When we start talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and now that you're in there, is there any point in Gene Simmons actually complaining? You're actually a member of that country club, so now
you went up there and accepted it.
You went up there and yeah, exactly, and now you want to turn around and, now that you've got a vote in who gets in, start saying, well, you're not rock and roll enough to get in. Is that just like Gene? Is that hypocrisy, or does that have anything?
Well, I mean, I'll just throw in my little bit. I'm sure Lonnie has a lot to say too. So, for me, I kind of look at it two ways. I see Gene's point only in one regard, that I have no problem with these people getting into a Hall of Fame of music. But why do they have to be put into a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That's my only problem with it. I admit that Public Enemy and these guys and Madonna and all these other people, they have had big impact on the music scene, and I fully admit that. It may not be my music of choice, but they've made inroads. They've made an impact, and people know about them from coast to coast to coast to coast. But you know what? It's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, not the Pop Rock Hall of Fame. And I think originally when they meant to do this, I think they kind of had that in mind. I mean, yes, everyone's going to bring up, well, the blues was the origins of rock, and that's what rock came from, and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Okay, great. That's really getting into fine detail. But, people, when they go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, at least me, when I go there, I want to go see stuff on, Black Sabbath or on bands that are in that genre and check out, the history of those bands in there, and why it really bugs me about this is that there's some bands still that are not in there that should be in there. I mean, Yes is not in there, and the one that's really bugging me is Iron Maiden. 90 million albums sold and no Iron Maiden in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That is an atrocity to me. So that's my only point, and the only thing that I kind of agree with. The rest of it, I think, is just Gene trying to hog for some kind of, spotlight time for himself and to put Kiss back into the headlines. And a little bit of him just being a grouchy old man now. Maybe it's a combination of that. But at that one point, I kind of see eye to eye with him about.
Lonnie, you've been taking notes.
Well, I had to reach for something. Things came to mind I didn't want to forget. But, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's made up. It wasn't started by some kind of official group. There is no official group. It's just some made up thing that we said, hey, we're gonna make our own little club. We're gonna call it would be really cool. We're gonna call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you know what? It's our club, so we're only gonna put in the people that we want in it because we made the whole damn thing up anyway. So it doesn't. When Kiss was eligible in 1998 or 1999, I guess, after 25 years of their first album came out, that's the only thing I think that is any kind of stipulation to get in, that it has to be 25 years since your first album came out. So when Kiss was eligible in 99, they didn't get in. Was I bummed about it then? Yeah, I guess so, because I was 19, 20 years old. Was I excited when Kiss finally got to go into the Hall of Fame last year? No. You know why? Because they've been denied for so freaking long that I don't freaking care anymore. And in the meantime, they let in these other bands that they wanted to let in. And why did they let them in? Not because, they had met certain kind of criteria, because there is no criteria, because they wanted to let them in. And we don't want to let Kiss in because I don't like Kiss, so we're not going to let them in. So that's it. It doesn't mean anything. But meanwhile, the Beastie Boys were already in by the time Kiss got in anyway. But then Gene and Paul still go up there and accept their award. And I know Paul tried to slam the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when he gave his acceptance speech as much as he could, but he didn't really he might take a couple jabs at him, but he didn't throw an uppercut punch at him and just throw his award back at him like the Sex Pistols did. And if I had my way, that's what I think Kiss should have done is, you know what? Screw you. After all this time, now you're going to let us in? You know what? Thanks, but no thanks. So if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wants to let in NWA, fine. I don't care. You know why? Because it's made up. It doesn't mean anything. It's not like it's Cooperstown with Major League Baseball. The whole thing's made, and it's run by Major League Baseball, as the Baseball Hall of Fame is. It's not run by anybody. It's run by the people at Rolling Stone
magazine.
So who freaking cares?
It's run by the establishment.
You know why it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because they trademarked the name Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's what I was just digging for.
That's the only reason why it's even called that. So it's just made up. I can make up my own club. Yeah, I can't call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I can call it something pretty damn close. And then I can let in the fans I want to let in.
You cannot even call it Hall of Fame in relation to
pardon the hell out of me. I'll call it what I want.
And that's what I thought. What I was digging for was my cease and desist.
I don't have the capital that Rolling Stone magazine has to, build my own museum. But if I did, and I wanted to make my own club, and then I could sell tickets and pay and have these artists come and play, then I could do that if I had the kind of capital. But I don't. But the whole thing's just made up anyway. So Gene, get over it because it's made up. Yeah, maybe you're mad, Gene, because you didn't think of the name Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and make all the money off of it. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what, though? There's nothing that you said was incorrect there, Lonnie. I mean, everything you said was correct. The only thing, though, that I pose as a question is to you guys, or to you, Lonnie specifically, is then why do these bands make it such an important thing for them to get into it? That's the only thing I don't understand. And if it's such a made-up thing, if it's such an unimportant thing in the grand scheme of things, then why did they put so much importance into it?
Because I have my theory about this. Because musicians want to be athletes, and athletes want to be musicians. Not all. I'm painting with a broad stroke there. But think about this. A lot of musicians wish they would like to be athletes. And a lot of athletes would like to be musicians. They're both talented, and they both have a pinnacle of success. And they see that athletes can reach that pinnacle of success maybe by winning a championship, or the ultimate personal success is getting in to the Hall of Fame. And the rock and roll or music or whatever has their Hall of Fame, and they want that recognition. Maybe the athlete musician thing is maybe that's too broad of a stroke, but it's a personal recognition thing, and it's a freaking ego thing, is what it is too. We all know that musicians have pretty big egos. Not necessarily you, Mark, but
I got a bit of an ego.
This is a KISS podcast, so we were allowed to talk about musicians with large egos.
Yeah.
So,
and another big words like gymnasium.
Correct. So that plays a large role in it too. But because they see their peers get into this Hall of Fame, well, I think I'm just as good as he is. I sold just as many albums as he does. Just like, well, I had just as many home runs in my career as this guy did. I think I deserve to be in there too. It's an ego thing at the end of the day.
You know what though?
Made up, but it's an ego thing.
But you know what? One thing that I heard, though, that I think that's a very important thing to bring up, too, that I think will support your comments, Lonnie, is that I heard a really great interview with Steve Howe from Yes when they asked them what he thought about Yes not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he brought up something I thought that was very important. He goes, Yes is not the kind of band that will get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because we're not those kind of people. And they kind of looked at him and go, what do you mean you're not that kind of people? He goes, we're not those kind of people that go to the right events and to the right charity dinners, and we don't go and kiss the right butts to
They're
go
not in the
and
boys'
make,
club.
yeah, they don't care about that. They don't care about hanging around and talking to Rolling Stone and kissing their rear end and, doing all those things. They just did what they want to do, and they continue to just do what they want to do. If they get brought in, so be it. If they don't seem to give really a rat's ass about it at this point at all. But the fans are the ones who are making the money enough than the band actually is. I mean, the only time it got brought up again is when Chris Squire died. That they figured that it would be a shame not to put them in then after he passed away. But that's a good point. I mean, a lot of this too has to do with the right people and the right amount of schmoozing and wheeling and dealing to get you considered and get on that little list of theirs in their black book to be considered, I think.
Yeah, and I think at this point, then, coming back to Prince briefly, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame really better start looking at the ages of some of the acts that are such egregious exclusions from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Gene, that goes for you now that you're in there. If we're losing people who are 57 years old, look at these bands that are not in, who ought to be in, who have been ignored or passed over year after year after year. Yeah, some of the most egregious ones of these are like Kiss or Cheap Trick or Rush or Deep Purple, or, the list is endless, even though a lot of those have now been rectified. We're now looking at even younger bands, but, I mean, Def Leppard,
Motley Crue.
None of those guys. I mean, Mick Mars is 800 years old at this point. You better.
He's never gonna die.
If he's gonna get into the Hall of Fame, you better get his ass into the Hall of Fame before you have to cart him in a Kiss coffin, because, Mick deserves. He's the guitar sound of that band, regardless of Nicky being the lyricist. And holy shit, Nicky bashing on Karabi today. Holy fuck!
Yeah,
I'm sorry. There's a tangent.
There's another crabby old man.
Yeah, another crabby old sodding rock star who hasn't taken his Geritol. I mean, holy shit! Go sit on the toilet for a bit, Six.
Go listen to Karabi album 6.
Go put on Smoke the Fucking Sky. Okay. Listen to that. Listen to the guitars. And I think you're just butthurt because you needed someone to help you write lyrics at that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'd lost your hair pulling Blondie, right? And here you had a guy who could play guitar and write and had personality. So I loved Krabby's response today. It was just, I'm not getting into it. Fuck that. I love the album.
He's too good for him. And took the high road.
Yeah, who's he been working with lately? Mick Mars. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that is the best record Motley Crue made, hands down, in my opinion.
It is. It's my favorite.
End of sentence period. That's the best thing they did. I was never really that huge into them. I did like Shout the Devil, and I do like Dr. Feelgood, but that record to me was just head and shoulders above anything they did. And for him to completely knock that is just absolute crap.
They act like it never happened.
Yeah, I mean, that and Quaternary, the follow-up EP, just unfreaking believable, the material on that. Is it the same as Too Fast for Love or Shout the Devil? No. Does it hold a candle? Yeah, it does, actually. Because if I'm going to pick three, I'll take Motley Crue 94 over Dr. Feelgood any day of the week.
Oh, that's a hot take, Julian. Ring the bell.
Well, it's not like I'm saying I'll take it over Shout at the Devil. I mean,
still though.
So we get into, now we've got a lot of acts out there. Is Gene going to go up against the Hall and really lay down the law in kind of like Gene manner and start trying to right some of the wrongs that are going on? Or is he just going to take easy shots for easy press? That's the whole thing with NWA. I mean, what the hell's the problem with NWA? Listen to Straight Outta Compton. I mean, buy that album, even if you're not a fan of rap. I actually own the album, and it's a seminal album. It's an important album. You can pick a few of these throughout music history that are really important. Run DMC had one as well. I mean, but, is Gene just guilty because Read My Body wasn't a hit?
A little bitter.
A little bitter. that Kiss's attempt at rap did not quite pay the same dividends as, say, Def Leppard.
Well, I mean, it almost seems
Aerosmith.
now. It almost seems now like now that he's in this position that he, I guess, I'll take your word for it, that he has maybe some sort of control over who may be considered or not. It just almost seems like he's taking it out on other acts now because it took so long for Kiss to get it. It's almost like you said, he's almost like being bitter about it. Like he's using that, that whole situation to his advantage now, almost like, well, now I'm in this position. I'm going to sit here now and make sure that the proper people get put in now, But I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this is a vote by a committee, though, isn't it? It's not just, one or two people. I think the whole group of them have to agree on it. So I don't know how much influence. That's the thing. How much weight does Gene Influence's voice have in that thing? Probably nothing, because they hated Kiss throughout the years, Rolling Stones. So I mean, the fact that they got even put in is
so you think Gene walks in the room and all of a sudden he has everyone's respect? Fuck no. It's like,
unfortunately not. They're like, who are you?
Yeah. Oh God, I can't believe we let you in when he walks in the room. And it's to me, Gene making comments like that is embarrassing to me, because people know me as a big Kiss fan. They're like, yeah, did you see what Gene said? Well, aren't you a big Kiss fan? Like, yeah. Well, I wish he just shut his mouth. Just shut up and play the music and maybe put out a product that's worth buying.
I think it's
maybe he should answer Ace Frehley's phone calls.
Yeah, how about that? Maybe that's a excellent point, Julian. Maybe you should Ace Frehley's phone call and shut your mouth.
Yeah, I mean it's very strange. I mean, why now? Like, I mean, when the funny thing is when a band is younger and they're looked at kind of in a different light, I think, than when a band is a lot older. When they start making controversial things when they're a lot older, they kind of look at it as, the grumpy grandpa thing. But, it's like when Axl and Guns N' Roses were at the height of their popularity during, like, Appetite, anything that he'd said about, whether it was about homosexuality or whatever it was, it just went like wildfire to the press, and, but if he was to say something like that now, they would just roll their eyes and say, oh God, because, here's like, 90-year-old Axl saying it now. Right. But, I think that has a little bit to do with it as well. I mean, with youth comes a little bit more of the, the coolness, and comes a little bit more of the, the danger, the danger of rock and roll. A band that's made up of a bunch of 60, 70-year-old people is not nearly as dangerous or cool, I don't think.
To touch on Axl real quick, I've been listening to some of those shows, and I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, like, he'd go off on rants like in between songs and that, and he has really kept his mouth shut in between songs, and it's just gone from one song to the next. And he introduces the band at one point, and he doesn't have like these, rants about the state of America or somebody that pissed him off today or anything. And it's really just been about the music, and he's really just kept his mouth shut. And you haven't heard anything about them going on late. I mean, I know we're only a couple shows into them playing, but I think if they would have went on one of these shows extremely late, it would have been all over that, maybe they're back together, but it's up to the same old tricks of going on 2 hours late. So,
Axl, one of the best things to ever happen to him was breaking his leg. Because he's probably on high quality painkillers that really mellow him out, and he's known to be a bit anxious. I mean, there's a great article up on Here Today Gone to Hell from I think about 2000 about him disappearing and some of the challenges. You just have to Google it and find it for yourself.
I read that.
But you know what? He's been using Dave Grohl's throne, to get through the shows.
He's been thanking Dave during the shows.
Yeah, he's not been running around singing like a wounded buffalo, panting, and he's able to just focus on singing. And you know what? From those high-quality YouTube clips that I've heard, he's actually sounded pretty good. I think the band sounded great. He sounded decent. More power to him. He's still not the right fucking vocalist for AC/DC, but that's a different story.
Yeah,
guns sound great right now.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, that I also found the same thing surprisingly with Vince Neil when he screwed up his leg on that tour when they were out with Kiss. I think it was when he screwed up his ankle there, and they played in Toronto. People even in the Toronto press said that one of the best vocal performances Vince Neil ever did was that night because he couldn't run around and do anything. He had to kind of stay kind of stationary and walk a little bit around. But you know what? It's true. If you think about the theory of singing, if you sit and you stay in a proper position with your diaphragm, you can sing a lot better. I mean, look at these opera singers. There's a reason they don't run around on stage. They stay in a spot and they kind of project their voice, and they don't use microphones. They have such a huge voice, right? So if you take that approach and kind of, stay a bit more stationary, man, the singing that these guys can do surprises a lot of people, And I mean, Axl right there is kind of proving it, sitting in the Dave Grohl chair. And like you mentioned, the painkillers, I mean, me being somebody who has unfortunately known the ups and downs and the beauty and unbeauty of OxyContin, know what something like that can do to somebody. You can feel really, really good and comfortable, and everything feels great, and everyone's your best friend. And maybe he's in that world right now where he's like, I really love Slash and the guys right
Maybe
now.
that's why you see pictures of him and Slash smiling at each other. He's just up. They don't even.
So now him singing "Out to Get Me" is really ironic. Which,
Right.
talking about medicine, but Vince Neil screwing up is like, well, I guess it might have kept him from driving.
That's probably good. That's definitely a good thing.
Bada bing. So here we are. We're going all over the place today because
we're not going to be able to call this a Kiss podcast.
This is the rock. This is
Hall of Fame.
Not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame trademark podcast. It's just a whole bunch of kind of topics that are tied together. So what I said earlier is perhaps Gene Simmons better answer Ace's phone call. Hey, Carly, I got a rap song. You want to, Yeah.
That'd be great.
That'd be great to get Ace, now to try and get Gene to do a rap song. That'd be fucking awesome. But
a remake of Eugene.
Oh God, yeah, stick my hands in fans. So, now that I've completely lost any semblance of track of where I thought we might be going with this, but talking about Prince, obviously, and we get into Paul health issues, Ace health issues, and we touched on it a little bit last week that Paul obviously didn't perform last Friday because of his shoulder. And we're talking about the health of our rock stars. Ace has had challenges. I mean, he's been overdoing it apparently and had the flu.
I had a friend that went to that show that went from Chicago to New York to see Ace. Got there and found out that the show was canceled.
Ouch.
He was so pissed.
Yeah, and that was going to be one of the ones that was well attended. I mean,
right.
Again, we haven't seen any additional Polestar figures this week or box scores for Ace's shows, so we just don't know how the tour is doing. But hell, does it sound like a good excuse to get off the road? I'm not feeling too good, but most of my audience is a 300. He can't be making bank. I'm sure he's doing well on the meet and greets. That always seems to be a great way to prop up bands with additional revenue streams. He's probably doing okay on the merch if he's got it with him. And I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone from the shows who might be able to give us an idea of how he's doing. But now he's got an album out, and it's just had its first week on release. He's just dropped off the radar. So it's kind of interesting. What do you guys think on Ace? Mark?
Well, it was kind of interesting. I mean, you can always start getting into these kind of conspiracy theories with, how sick is he really? Is he really that sick that he has to get off? Stuff like that. But I mean, having been sent to a hospital and stuff like that's pretty serious. I mean, when you start getting up into his age there too, I mean, he was doing a lot. Like, if you really sit back and take a look at it, let's not even talk about the shows. The amount of interviews I've seen him do for this album has been a lot. And I mean, you have to go to this place, sit down, do it. I mean, sure, talking isn't exactly the most strenuous thing, but, getting prepared for these things, going over there, the traveling, and then don't forget in between this too, he apparently took a red eye to Los Angeles to do the video with Paul Stanley for the Fire and Water song. And he had took the red eye back apparently afterwards to get back onto the tour. I mean, that's fine doing that when you're between the ages of 20 and maybe 40, but when you get up there, your body starts reacting a bit differently to this kind of wear and tear that you're doing. And I mean, it's probably just starting to show at this point now. And maybe it was a smart idea for him to get off, because I mean, I certainly don't want Ace to be the number 3 of the, the ever scary people dying in threes club here, right? So the fact that he's home and resting and hopefully getting better is a comforting thought to me, because I don't want him to be next, And I mean, and you got to be careful, because flu-like symptoms again. I just heard that now with the whole Prince thing, that apparently when he had to land his plane early on some flight that he was doing because he had flu-like symptoms again. So that phrase has been going around lately. And
oh, come on! I mean, even more important than that was Jimmy Bain, flu-like symptoms. I mean, holy shit! Dies on the
cruise.
I don't know what the name of that one was, but he had been feeling under the weather, and I mean, didn't know he had cancer. So flu-like symptoms. Now, I mean, let's not all go hypochondriac.
No, it's something just to shake off. So
yeah. But it's more important, I think, Ace, be healthy. That's, critical importance. And it's also a good reason, to not tour if you're not making money. I mean, I have no idea. These are, 1,100 capacity clubs? Those have got to be pretty tight on the guarantees he's getting.
He's not raking it in.
Yeah, and it can do a lot more damage to him, I would think. If you're continuously getting booked for... Let's say you're getting a low 5-figure guarantee on these, because we know what he used to get years ago, and you're pulling in 300. They're not making that, are they?
No.
Not easily off the ticket prices. And then you're going to become poisoned in the marketplace because you're going to become known as a poor draw.
Booking a loser. No one's going to book you.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Ace really needs to be part of a package tour. Simple as that, like you see the rat. I always use the 18 versions of Rat as an example, but the Rats, the Cinderellas, the Poisons,
Cinderellas, yeah.
That sort of band seem to be able to pair themselves up, in 3 and go out and do the smaller market tours, and they seem to be successful. There seems to be a lot of positive chatter about it on Facebook. I don't think Ace is a pull on his own anymore, and I don't think he has been for much of his resurgence. He's so niche, since Anomaly came out, he's not gotten out of those size clubs, and the draws have progressively gotten lower and lower. That I think he's damaging his name, much like he did in the 90s.
Yeah,
where he's healthy now.
I mean, and the funny thing is that the internet can be a very deceiving thing to people, because you have all these kind of, Facebook pages, like these, like millions of different KISS different pages and stuff like that. So when somebody like Ace announces that they're making a record and going to, release it, the reaction sometimes can be very overwhelming by these groups of people on there. But if you take a look at how many of those people are, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of people. I mean, for him to be making a huge draw, he has to be in more major newspapers or more major kind of press stuff, I think, on a more constant basis than what he is now, I think. I mean, like, I just think that people are kind of getting a little bit deceived by what's going on here, because, he's getting good press amongst the KISS people and his audience, but his audience isn't that big. It's certainly not as big as a KISS audience. So sure, they're all saying it's the greatest thing that's ever happened, it's the greatest record, but that really is not that many people. It shows what the attendance of the people in his shows. Right?
Yeah, I think here's my advice to you, Ace. I think you got to pick a rapper and have a beef with him. I don't recommend
That's
Tupac.
The move.
Tupac's dead, so don't do him. Biggie's dead. Don't do him. Find one who's alive and maybe relevant.
Go after him.
Maybe edgy, dangerous. Ice Cube. I mean, he's pretty. He's
Put
pretty
your
gangster.
finger in his chest.
Yep.
Tell him you're not rock and roll.
Yep. And
listen to me.
Keep a straight face.
My opinion is the only one that matters.
Flowrider.
Yeah. And if you want to whack Bieber while you're at it, get some headlines. hit him with a guitar.
That's the move.
But there you go. Gene's right on one thing.
No,
Gene knows how to get his name in the press.
Because he has a tour. Because he has a tour to promote this summer. But you guys are right. You guys talked about it last week that it's really too bad that Ace didn't get the opening slot on Kiss's upcoming tour. You said he's a package deal, and how cool would that have been? But obviously, it's just not going to happen either. For Kiss doesn't want him doing it. Ace doesn't want to open for Kiss. Nobody asked one another. But how cool would that be?
Yeah, but do you think Kiss really wanted to open for Aerosmith, or Aerosmith wanted Kiss to open for them? No, it's business. What makes sense? As the third act, pick your middle act. If you want to only have Ace as the opener, you'd at least have asses in the seats at the beginning for that. Mm-hmm. If Ace was opening, even if you had the next tier middle act. And here's the other thing. Indie Kiss Expo was announced, for May the 22nd, and I checked out flights. I was really Indie's the only one I'll go to. Can't do it though. But Tommy's the special guest. Tommy's the special guest. But why not Ace? If Ace is promoting an album, and they've had Bruce, they've had Union, they've had ESP, But
why? You're confused with two spacemen there.
Why? No.
Book the original spaceman then.
No, but each one knows who the original is. I mean, where's the confusion? So Tommy's not going to be wearing makeup that weekend. He's the headlining guest, actually. So he wouldn't be showing up in spaceman makeup because he does most of his promo stuff unmasked anyway. So
he showed up in that wizard makeup in '96.
So there's my point. Why is Ace not getting a little bit more of the kind of useful PR stuff? He's just stuck in a rut doing the same shit over and over and over. It's like Groundhog Day for Ace Frehley, that he's doing the same clubs, the same sorts of places. He's kind of doing the same routine that's wearing him down. Plus being sick doesn't help. It's depressing. I mean, like someone said on Facebook, and this is Mike, this is a shout out to you because you posted it, that Origins has some of the best songs he's ever written.
That's fantastic. I was really off to a crappy start to my day. Mike posted that, and it really made me smile.
They are really good songs. No shit.
Wow. Some of the songwriting on Ace's new album is fantastic.
And I'm not on actually on that Facebook right now to read the exact quote, but it was mind-blowing comments.
This is put out on Sonic Boom or Monster. Really?
Yeah, so there we are. Ace, I really think should be a guest at the Indie Kiss Expo.
Yeah, but
well, yeah. I mean, don't you think that would be
the person who puts it on though works for Kiss?
Yeah. So
I know, but
yeah. So
I think that's why
the greater good.
I agree. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, but
yeah. But then again, I think I should be a special guest. Playing playing the iVideo.
You can just go in there and show yourself off. People would line up for you, Julian.
Yeah. Punch the dummy. $1 a hit.
FAQ admin, arrow pointing down, they come after you.
If you remember the Napster thing way back with Metallica, how soon after that this little game online came out, Bitch Slap a Rockstar, and Gene Simmons was one, and I think Lars was the other, so you'd get slapped the shit out of your Rockstar. And anyone who had said anything negative about Napster was featured in that. So, okay. Where were we? Paul Stanley? Paul Stanley?
Yes.
Paul Stanley.
Does he need a shoulder to do Soul Station? Yeah, that didn't quite come out. Does he need a shoulder to do Soul Station? And is that very rock and roll?
You're just kind of tying everything together.
So Gene, should Paul be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now that he's doing Little Richard?
Go put your finger in Paul's chest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's obviously easier to do Soul Station in that condition that he's in now, but I think that the whole thing with Soul Station is, I think it's just an outlet for him to just get that little bit of different music. Maybe that's he's been thinking about doing, later on in his life, get it out of his system, kind of thing. And I don't think he has any intention mention of not doing Kiss anymore. But I mean, obviously, in this condition, he can do Soul Station no problem. Kiss is obviously a different story, but we've been reassured by him that the tour is going to be going on.
He'll be ready to go July 7th.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll totally be ready. I don't doubt that for a moment. And I also figure he's already done rap. He's already done rock and roll. So R&B, maybe he's going to go country next, like country,
like Bret Michaels,
Steven Tyler,
or Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Or what is it, Ronnie Lee Keough?
Bret Michaels. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Don't you mean Bret Michaels bandana? Can't stand that guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, I think that's another thing that was sort of strange, though, is that the whole timing of that bicep tear was really strange. I mean, I don't think did he even mention how it happened, like what caused it?
No, but the week before he'd fallen off a skateboard or something, hadn't he?
Yeah.
I don't recall the details because it's the shit that just flies across the feed, and I see it, and I don't really.
And he's 60 whatever years old, and he works out pretty regularly. I mean, you could see him tearing a bicep too. I mean,
he's fit.
I know, but
stop doing those.
I run marathons, and I'm sidelined right now because I have a foot problem. It happens.
Yeah, and it's easier as we get older to do. I mean, I know from when I play soccer. I mean, obviously, I'm not exactly a fit example of humankind like Paul Stanley is, but I do play soccer, and I do freaking hurt afterwards. Mm-hmm. So, and it hurts more as I get older. So,
it's recovery time. It takes longer as you get older, right? Your body can recover quicker when it's younger, and it also has to do with diet and what you put into your body to help the muscles recover, right? So, I mean, I'm sure he's all aware of that, right? But I'm just curious to see what it was that actually caused him to do that. And I mean, especially if it was a skateboard thing, I think that's sort of being foolish on his part because he knows they have a tour coming up. He knows they haven't been around for a little while in these markets, but yet he's going to go on a skateboard and drop his ass off it. Like, what a bonehead.
He's like an NFL player. It's in his contract where he can't go on a motorcycle.
Yeah. More than likely, he slipped on a piece of lettuce in his kitchen while working on the Paul Stanley cookbook.
Paul Stanley's contract. No skateboards.
No skateboards, Paul. And who knows? Don't forget, also, he's got young children.
Yeah, who knows?
Being a dad to young children is dangerous because all of a sudden you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing because it's for them. You're doing it anyway. All the times I've done stuff with mine that I shouldn't be doing, and shit happens. Simple as that. But, if I was half as fit as Paul Stanley, I'd still be fat.
Words of wisdom?
No, just accepting reality, honestly. Shit, I mean, at least someone like him's going to get fit a lot more quickly than, say, Ace, who has, decades of abuse on the clock. That does things to you as well. I mean, Ace and Paul both being sick, which one is more likely to be fit quicker.
Yeah,
of course,
that's a given.
There's always the Keith Richards kind of thing that comes into it that it probably doesn't really frickin' matter. It's all a matter of luck anyway. So
or Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, Ozzy and Keith. Jesus, poster childs for
outlive us all.
Yeah. Well, we thought that Lemmy was going to outlive us all, but that didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, here we are. Just.
All the icons have died in 2016. It's been rough.
Well, I had a friend who wrote a song, a really, really good song at university. All the best rock stars are dead was his song, and that was his kind of take on things in 1997 was, it's inevitable. But, you look at a guy called, Lemmy, who made it through that tour and then died. Prince, who performed last week while canceling a couple of gigs, not feeling well, who, played to the end. Mm-hmm. That what more can anyone ask? That is their career, that is their lives, and they made it to the end of the road doing things how they wanted. Lemmy never frickin' bent, did he? Did he ever do anything for anyone else, or did he just do it his way?
No, and I mean that's it. I mean, and I think I might have said this before in a prior episode, but I went to a thing called a Concrete Foundation Forum back in 1992, and he was the special guest speaker at the beginning of it. And they literally had to drag him out of bed because Ted Nugent canceled at the last minute. He was supposed to be the keynote speaker, and they brought him out, and he apologized that he was hungover when he did this speech. And he said, though, he made a great point. He said that the most important thing to him as a musician is that he can wake up every day, look himself in the mirror, and feel good about himself because he did things his way, did things the way he wanted to, and he has no regrets about anything that he did. He's not one of these people who's going to look back 20 years later and think, okay, well, I wish I didn't do that. He did things his way, and he ended things on his terms. You know, he went out the way he wanted, and what more can you ask for than that?
Yeah. You know, it really makes me. I've been really kind of disenchanted with the whole idea of Kiss touring
Dying.
this summer. And, you know, I was just like, what's so. Uh-oh. We have a special guest joining us late into this show. We'll get some hot takes from him. But I was really kind of disenchanted about the whole thing with Kiss touring this summer. And it's just like, you know, it's just going to be more of the same old shtick. And, you know, I've heard some people say, no, this is really great that Kiss is touring. It's going to be like an old school style Kiss show, what a particular podcast was saying. And that, you know, we're going to get a full Kiss show. Well, no, I really disagree with that. I think I agree with what Julian said on here a couple weeks ago, that you're going to get about 16 songs, and it's going to be the same, and I think it's really going to be the same show. You might get one or two songs thrown in there, but you mean you're going to play the hits. You're not going to come out and play something obscure. It's going to be the same stuff. But that being said, and, you know, we talk about David Bowie, we talk about Lemmy, we talk about Prince, you know, I was really toying with the notion of not going to any shows this year, but it really makes me think that, you know, maybe I really should go see a show because of the unknown. So
Yeah, I think that makes a hell of a lot of sense, really. It's now a matter of reevaluating the value that you place on these things that have either been special in your life in the past or have remained special with you to this day. So those of us who remain active fans of Kiss are more likely to go. Those of you who maybe have fallen by the wayside because some of the drama of the last 14 years or personal preferences, opinions on what the band has or maybe has not done, you know, look at these things through the eyes of a Prince fan or a David Bowie fan or a Motorhead fan, that once these special things are gone, there really is no going back to anything other than the memory or a video, which is a very poor analog for the reality of the experience, especially with a show like Kiss. I don't care what you say, of whether it's like you remember it in 1977, 1975, 2014, or whenever, that it's still a Kiss show. It's still an experience. It's still Paul Stanley up on stage, the ringmaster of the rock and roll party. It's Gene Simmons doing everything you anticipate and expect him to do. And it's, you know, Tommy and Eric fulfilling their roles as the characters that they portray. You know, you can either be offended by it or you can take it
for what it is. Be appreciative of what you have.
Take it as honoring, you know, the legacy of what the band did build with Peter and Ace. You know, don't take it as an insult to Peter and Ace because they sold their rights out. Do you think Kiss could do it if they didn't have the rights? Is it the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do? I don't think that matters a damn. I think that's a debate that's been done to death. I don't think you should weigh on it. It's just, do you want to be someone who has regrets? You know, oh shit, I didn't go and see them one last time.
Because you know, there's Motorhead fans out there that skipped this last tour and said, "Well, I'll catch them the next time."
Yeah.
You know, there's Motley Crue fans who skipped this last time. I still got my ticket sitting up there. You know, no, actually, my ticket that's sitting up there is AC fucking DC from AT&T Park, which I didn't make it to in the end.
I saw AC/DC.
Yeah, screw you.
I saw one of the last shows they did, actually. St. Louis was like maybe the second or third last show they did.
You know, Ace called his book no regrets. I mean, well, I've said it should be no recollections. You know, you've really got to kind of approach. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't recollect. So, you know, just do it this summer. You know, and you know, I'm not. This isn't a paid ad by the Kiss company, but you know, it's really a reminder.
It's an excellent point, though, because I mean, the sand is running through the hourglass, my friends. Pretty soon it'll be
These are the
emptied.
days of our lives.
And
Exactly.
and not to be cryptic, but who knows? Maybe, you know, I'm not saying something's going to happen to Gene or Paul, and there won't be another tour after this one. But something might happen to you, or something might happen to me,
Or your circumstances, or
my
something might
circumstances,
change.
or whatever. You don't. No one knows. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody.
Yeah,
So,
that's why
I'm not trying to turn this show into, you know, some.
That's right, my brothers. Live every day like it's your last.
I'm not trying to, but I'm not trying to turn this show into something cryptic or anything. But it's the truth.
Yeah, what is it? Yesterday is the past and it's gone. You know, tomorrow hasn't happened yet, but the now is the gift. You know, or something to that effect. And it's very true, without getting too philosophical or, you know, kumbaya-ish. You know, that.
Stop. It's enough.
Kumbaya.
It's enough.
Got to do it with a little bit more Norwegian death metal growl.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know where the hell we are. I mean, the topic today is or the topics.
Topic's kind of three of us bullshit for an hour.
They're just all over the place today because, you know, like I said, I'm pretty disjointed after today's news, and it's just one of those weird days that, you know.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it does give us an opportunity to go into a lot of things. Ken never did make it, so Ken, you know, we look forward to seeing you next time. But any final thoughts, gentlemen? Anything else happening in the Kiss world that we've neglected to mention? Oh, Ace Frehley has a new album out, doesn't he?
Yes. Huh.
Yeah, and apparently a video was done too that for some reason hasn't been released yet.
We're not allowed to see it, apparently.
I don't understand that. Okay, this is my last little comment I'm going to make. This is a typical example of stupidity because if you're going to be promoting an album, okay, the video is supposed to be one of the key things used to promote it. So why didn't you release this?
No.
You should have did it beforehand.
There's just so much you don't understand, Mark.
The video. Let's just go back there for a second. You can have a video, or you can maybe do a video like Kiss did. Remember their stupid freaking lyric videos, which are basically Macintosh on steroids with effects with the lyrics. No, so the video is not a core part of the promotion. He's had a shitload of press already. And he's been in every magazine. And he's in Rolling Stone. He's been Loudwire. He's been on everything. He's been
Guitar World, him and Slash.
Yeah, the only place I don't think I've seen him is TMZ, which is I thank God because he's still alive.
Because he hasn't put his finger on a rapper's chest yet. That's why.
So, you know, I think Ace is doing really well in terms of promoting his album. The 4,927 people who were likely to buy it have indeed purchased the album. And the video might account for maybe 3 additional purchases, which will come in handy, say, in week 3 or 4, when things that E1 has planned for getting that bump back into the top 200 is required. So I don't think that, you know, what I'm saying is I don't think the video is either here or there. I think it's probably came down to scheduling with Paul, and likely with Ace's schedule being asked backwards of going on tour and then releasing the album. Because don't you usually release the album and then go on tour?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, but usually, what I'm trying to get at though is that okay, they did do the video. It is done. They can put it out, but yet they haven't. I mean,
okay, where are they going to put it out? Is MTV going to show it?
No, I mean, just even on just the YouTube. They just like to get more people. I mean, come on, you did it with Paul Stanley for a reason, because you wanted more people to watch it. If you didn't, you wouldn't even have bothered calling him over. What for? You can just do anything. But
do people not already know about the album because of Paul Stanley? Isn't the video therefore somewhat superfluous to the whole situation? That
so in other words,
it's already on the sticker, and it's already been a talking point. I think in 90%. So, does the video have any purpose other than maybe
wasting $20,000?
Well, if it's the record label's money.
Yeah, but he has to pay it back.
Well, yeah,
It's
but
on.
this is Ace. This is Ace. Do you think he knows that? You just told him, Mark. You just he's going to be sitting there going,
"Oh my God!
What do you mean? I got to pay for it?"
He's going to have a stroke now that he found this out.
Mark,
that guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, they told me. Yeah.
Edit that out. Edit that out.
That guy doesn't know.
So my take on it is it's all irrelevant in this day and age. Having a video, is it a nice thing? Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Is it going to really generate anything of any use? I really don't believe so. And again,
it's not 1991. It's not.
Yeah, there's nowhere to show it. And so what? Put it up on YouTube?
What are they going to use it? Then what did they do it for then? That's what I want to know. Why did they do it then?
They're going for new fans in Taiwan.
Because I mean, usually that's why you make a video, right? I mean,
no, there's no reason now for rock bands. I don't think really to be making videos.
No,
not in the original 1980 sense. And I mean, I don't see anywhere that they can actually be using it promotionally.
Then they could have used the money for something better, maybe than obviously than if it was of no use, right?
Yeah, come on, Ace. They're starving children.
It was a cool thing to do, but I'm with Julian though. What's the point of doing it? It's not 1991. They're not looking for it to go in the heavy rotation on MTV to help promote the album, because honestly, I don't think the videos. The idea of it's cool. Him and Paul Stanley together. That's great. You haven't seen that since 2002, I guess. So I mean, it's an exciting concept, but is it going to push any more albums? No, it's not. They're not going to sell any more albums because of the video, because it's not 1991 and it's not heavy rotation on MTV, and kids don't sit around and watch MTV for their favorite music videos that come on, because they all have their phones and they can just watch it on whatever they want to on YouTube. I don't see it generating anything.
That's fine. I agree with you guys with that. But then basically to me, what I get out of that then is that that's just another way that the record company has Ace Frehley. They have him around the neck now because they just wasted an amount of money on something that they're not going to use for anything. It's not going to benefit him in any way, except that he has to pay that back to them somehow before he can get out of his contract now. So congrats. You have a video that you're not going to need for anything. You don't use for anything. Why did you even bother to do it?
We didn't say it was going to benefit Ace. And you've just brought up exactly why it's a useful thing to have done. Origins Volume 2. Ace, you've got 20,000 unrecouped here. We got to get out. How quickly can you, knock out another 12 covers for us? Yeah. Hey, Space Truck.
Pretty quick. I can do them on one take.
And by the way, we're not suggesting, of course, it shouldn't need to be said, we are not suggesting that Ace's record label are in any way being nefarious.
Julie's just making stuff up off the cuff. We have no inside information.
I didn't even get a promo for Origins, so I didn't even get a promo for All for One. Jesus.
Oh,
that's a crying shame.
Jeez. Actually, I've never had a promo.
Really? They've never sent you record companies never sent you a promo for a review for FAQ?
No, I only get cease and desists.
No. You get something.
He only gets negative things for running the FAQ. Nothing positive comes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had my latest legal letter this week. Yeah, that's all I fucking get is legal headaches. Yeah. So.
Well, it's all in the name of rock and roll, right, Julian?
I know I'd much rather get an advance of albums that come out, but, Actually, who was it sent me one? Clown! Clown sent me Clown Alive 2.
Oh, yes.
That was an advance of sorts.
Oh, nice.
And it was,
cool.
Actually. It was very nice. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thought they did a great job. Good sense of humor. But there we go. Ace will have a video out. What purpose it serves, I guess, is to be determined, Mark. We'll see how they use it, and I guess we'll be able to talk about it in a future episode. But, since they've called it Origins Volume 1,
There'll be a 2.
Presumably, there'll be Origins Volume 2, and maybe Origins Volume 3, followed by Origins the originals trilogy.
Stop it. No.
Colored vinyl versions.
No, stop it.
Well, they did do colored vinyl. They had the blue marble. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, I got that. Yeah,
Was that the European or was that the
that's
American?
the U.S.
Because
US
in Europe they did black vinyl.
and white.
Yeah, and I'm afraid to order because I was bitching about it on one of the sites the other day. Every single Kiss 40 LP I got from Amazon UK shook around and split the inner dust sleeves. It's like, fuckers, can't you take the LPs outside of the covers and send them properly in LP mailers?
Well,
No.
the blue one's from the U.S. So I mean, you shouldn't have no issues with that one.
No, I was down at Amoeba the other day and they had it. And I couldn't be bothered to pay, what was it, $38.99 or $28.99 or something.
Really?
It was stupid. That's, you know,
Wild.
they wonder why they have bins full of Kiss 40 vinyl.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up because we are way off topic. We have been just free form bullshitting today, talking about everything that comes to mind, and probably
I mean,
Plus
you
the
didn't want to
topic.
rant this week, so we have something to talk about next week.
yeah. So let's kill it there. Thank you for listening, Lonnie. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.
Good to see you. And Mark, as always, thank you for being here. And thank you for listening. You know, if you've got any comments on today's show, please keep them to yourself this week. You know where to find us on Facebook or on the KissFAQ message board. And you know, we're not copying another podcast who had
Seems
a
like it,
challenging,
doesn't it?
yeah. You know, they had a challenging episode, their last one, but I listened. That's the first time I've listened to Three Sides in a while, actually, and I didn't think it was that dreadful. I thought it was entertaining, and I made it all the way through. And it's obviously left an impression on me and torpedoed ours. So thanks a lot, guys. You know. See. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.